Hello there, Bernadette McClelland again, and welcome. And once again, thank you for your support with the whole concept around the story selling philosophy. As I mentioned in the first video that I shared, there are 6 underpinning principles, if you like, behind the whole story selling philosophy. And so we've already looked at the fact that story selling inspires change and story selling is root cause focused. For today, I want to focus in on the 3rd principle. And the 3rd principle is a differentiator. It is a real game changer because story selling is strategy in pictures. And that's what I want to focus on today, to share some different ideas for how you can kind of think outside the square or, step into a different comfort zone. So story selling is not just talking and telling stories. It's not just reading stories, but it's also seeing stories. It's visual and it's kinesthetic. And one way to sell with stories is to draw. Yeah, draw, like pen and paper draw. Drawing is a way that actively draws people into your world by tapping into both parts of their brain, the emotional part of the brain and the logical part of the brain. So drawing helps us to be able to develop a lot more clarity and a lot more focus. And if you can remember that far back to when you were just kind of a little toddler, or if you're a parent or anybody that's got little children, and their first attempt at using a pen or paper or crayon or paintbrush or whatever it might be, whatever it is they draw, will typically include 3 shapes. Will typically include circles, triangles, and rectangles or squares. So think of the typical stick person. You've got the circle for the head, you've got the triangle for the body, and you've got the legs, the sticks, and then you've got the rectangles for the feet. So what happens here is that it is inbuilt in us. We are wired for the challenge of drawing. And so when we draw, not only do we draw somebody in, but we actually release endorphins in our brain that make us feel good. We actually create new neural pathways. We create new ways of thinking that create aha moments, and intense clarity. Do we have to be Michelangelo? Absolutely not. And I can tell you right now, I know that for a fact. Art at school was the only class my teachers did not mind me going AWOL from. I just couldn't get the creativity out of me that was in my head and in my heart out onto that paper. And it just kind of never worked out. But as sellers, we don't need to be Michelangelo. We don't need to pass exams or anything like that. We've got to be prepared to be different. And so when we consider that a picture paints 1,000 words, imagine being able to sit down with your buyer and being able to say, have a coffee and grab a napkin and a pen and be able to capture your buyer's story graphically. And together you collaborate, together you work on it. So drawing from a model's perspective, capturing the essence of somebody's story graphically is super, super powerful. And when I'm working with teams, it's not uncommon for me to leave on the table as part of their initial setup an adult coloring page and pencils or pens, because I know that once someone starts doodling, that creative part of the brain is switching in. And that's what we want. Business needs to be more than just logical data, figures all the time. We need to bring some of that creativity in. And so as a seller, when you can introduce strategic story through mental models, that will be an absolute game changer for you. But you have got to show up with curiosity. You have got to show up with vulnerability. You have got to be okay with going off script and trusting your gut, because you never know where that conversation is going to go. And that is a really good thing. So if we were to Leverage the words of Dr. Seuss. You have brains in your head. You have feet on your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. And that's what I want you to take away from today, is the ability to get comfortable being different. And so if you want more of these ideas, and I know a lot of you are following these ideas, I want you to go to a number of different platforms. Not all of them, but just choose one. Go to YouTube. The channel is The Story Seller. It's brand new. And so you'll be able to get replays, or you'll be able to keep coming back to that to get different ideas around the philosophy of story selling for today. On LinkedIn, ring the bell next to my name so that you can be notified of any other ideas that I post, and also subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn. If you go to shiftanddisrupt.com, there will be resources there for you. It's the launching page, the book page for my upcoming book, Shift and Disrupt, Stop Selling Widgets, Start Selling Wisdom. And I want you to consider today, how are some of the ways that you could potentially be in a meeting, hear what's going on, kind of collate some of those ideas, be brave enough to pick up a whiteboard marker, walk to the whiteboard, and be able to draw the message in a graphical format in some form of mental model. If you're not quite sure, keep following, because we will get to that point where we start to share how to do that. So on that note, have an amazing day, and I look forward to helping make your role as a seller, a sales leader, or a business owner that much more effortless this year. So have an amazing day, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.